Hey guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. My name is Laura, for those of you that do not know, and I am so delighted to be sitting here in front of my camera today. It has been a couple of weeks now since I have filmed a YouTube video, and as you can probably tell from the title, there is a reason. I've just been in this really crazy slump. It's like I posted my January wrap-up talking about all of these fabulous books that I read in January, setting myself goals for the coming months about what books I was going to read. And then this past month, I've not only not read a single book, but I have not filmed a single video since that past video. I feel like whenever I have a situation where I'm in a reading slump, it also becomes a video slump, and that's like the worst part of it all, is because I haven't been reading, I haven't been motivated to film a video about books because I haven't been reading books, and I'm like, I need to read new things, I need new content, I need my videos to be fresh, and then I get discouraged and I don't film, and it creates this really hazardous cycle that I'm just kind of so sick of, and I want to be able to just post videos and talk to you guys all the time. So today, even though I haven't read a single book in the month of February, I wanted to come on here and tell you guys what I've been doing in lieu of reading books, because I feel like we all go through these times where we're just not in the mood to read. Us as readers, we just have these little slumps. Sometimes it's a week, sometimes it's more than a week, it could be a month like me, it could be longer. And obviously, there's other things filling our time during those moments where we're not reading. Obviously, like, I work full time, so I'm doing that. But even then, I usually fit in time to film and read books. So it's like, what else have I been doing? And I was kind of reflecting on the month, and I've actually done quite a lot. So I want to tell you guys what I've been up to, give you guys some tips and recommendations for maybe if you're in a slump, things that you can do just to feel more motivated and kind of like you are doing something, even if it's not reading for the moment. It doesn't always have to be reading. We all have other hobbies. I'm going to share with you guys what mine are, what I've been up to, and maybe if you guys are also in a slump, this will help. Obviously, I have tips for like getting back into the swing of reading if you are in a slump, but sometimes I feel like you just have to kind of embrace that you're just not feeling books at the moment. You don't really want to read at the moment. But I think my biggest tip, if you are in a slump and you want to read a book, is try to go back to a book that you already know and love and give it a reread. Personally, I find that when I reread books or rewatch shows or rewatch movies, the kind of knowing of what's going to happen next makes it a little easier to get through. Sometimes when you're reading, you'll have moments where the chapter is just like too long or it's too boring or whatever. But if you're reading a book that you already know, you know what's going to happen next. You know that, oh, if I push through 3 more pages, then this thing happens. And it's already a favorite book of yours. It shouldn't be too hard to get through. I know not everybody loves to reread books. Personally, I do. Like, my favorite book of all time, I've reread probably over 10 times. And I just find it so enjoyable. It's like rewatching movies. I personally love rewatching movies. So obviously it's personal preference, but if you're in a slump and you want to try to read, but you just cannot get into a book for some reason, try rereading a favorite. For me, that's always like the Off-Campus series by Elle Kennedy, the Seabreeze series by Abby Glines, and really any Colleen Hoover book. If I jump into one of those, I usually can finish it, and I feel like I'm back into the swing of things. Another recommendation I would have for you is to try reading an audiobook, or more so listening to an audiobook. I listened to an audiobook last month when I wasn't really doing a ton of reading, and I felt like it was super engaging, super easy to get into, and also you can listen to it while you're doing other things. So I would play it in the car, I would play it while I was in the kitchen cooking, while I was doing laundry, just little daily tasks that you're already going to be doing, but you can incorporate listening to an audiobook or even a podcast or whatever you want to do. I love listening to podcasts too, but sometimes changing it up to an audiobook is a little different. I don't usually listen to fiction on audio. You totally can, but I find that a lot of self-help books or even just books on nonfiction topics really grab my attention, and I feel like it's like listening to a podcast. I listened last month to Marie Kondo's book about tidying up. I really recommend it still, and it also felt very motivating because I was reading about getting cleaned up and cleaning my space, and then it made me want to do that as well. So that's my recommendation for if you really want to get back into the swing of things with books. However, sometimes you're just not in the mood to read, and that's okay. We don't have to feel guilty about not wanting to read. For me, that's like a huge thing. If I see that I'm dipping under my Goodreads goal, or people are tweeting me like, what are you reading right now? And I'm reading nothing. I'm just like, oh, like I'm such a failure. But like, At the end of the day, reading is one of my most treasured and loved hobbies. I don't need to feel guilty about the fact that I'm not currently doing my hobby. It's not like it's life or death. I'll be okay. And you guys should feel that way too. There's absolutely no pressure to read if you're not feeling like you want to read at the moment. So I have a bunch of other things that I've been doing for the past month. Obviously, like listening to music and watching movies and TV, I've totally been doing. I've been getting into some new stuff that's kind of like not me, so it's a little crazy. This past month, and kind of over the past couple of months, but this month I finally finished watching every Star Wars movie, which was crazy because like I never thought I would like Star Wars. Like I never thought I would be into it. I'm like a strictly romance gal. Like I don't really like fantasy or sci-fi or like dystopian, like all that stuff scares me. So I'm like always in the romance drama realm of shows and TV and movies. So my boyfriend loves Star Wars. It's like one of his favorite movie franchises of all time. We've been together for almost 5 years and I hadn't watched Star Wars with him yet, which is kind of ridiculous considering I make him watch every movie I've ever loved under the sun. I literally make him watch everything I like. So I was like, okay, time to watch something he likes 5 years later. So he convinced me to watch Star Wars. So we watched obviously like the first trilogy, the second trilogy, and the third. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, the first trilogy I was like a little bored. It was a little hard for me to get into, but I loved the characters, so that kept me a little more into it. When we got to the prequel trilogy, I started to actually really like it. And then we watched the new Disney ones and I liked those as well. I feel like the new movies were definitely easier to watch for me just because they're more like fast paced and to the point, even though all the movies are like 2+ hours. They're just a little bit easier to consume for me than like the older stuff. However, I do respect that the older stuff is like the classics and everyone loves those. I think all in all, my favorite was the prequel trilogy, which is probably controversial, but I just love Anakin. So I love Anakin, but I'm also like very on the side of like the Jedi. Like I'm not with the like Sith Lords. Like I'm with the Jedi. I want the Jedi to like overcome and win everything, but I just love Anakin. So we just pretend that he's, you know, not what he is. So anyways, I'm not gonna sit here and talk about Star Wars for 25 minutes because I know some people literally don't care. But anyways, my point is try to go outside of the box with things that you're watching if you're trying to like watch TV or movies instead of reading. So for me, that was watching Star Wars. Also, I've been watching WandaVision, which I've never been into Marvel. I've watched maybe like 1 or 2 Marvel movies ever. So another suggestion from my boyfriend was to watch WandaVision, which I love Elizabeth Olsen. I've always been a huge fan of hers. But I was like, I'm not going to understand this show. I haven't watched the movies. And I just decided like, whatever, I'll watch it. And if I don't understand things, I don't understand things. And it ended up being like good still. Like I still really enjoy the show, even though I sometimes am a little lost. But I've been really enjoying it. There's only, I think, 1 more episode left and I'm like on edge. So I've really been enjoying watching that. Also, just going back to some of my classic favorites, I'm constantly rewatching Jersey Shore just because it's fun for me. And also Degrassi, I'm always constantly rewatching that. So it's been fun to just kind of absorb a little more like TV and movie. Usually in the months where I'm reading a ton, I'm literally not watching TV at all. Like I go to bed and I want to read a book, but lately I've been going to bed and like watching something or whatever. I'm also always watching like YouTube or like TikToks. I could literally sit and watch TikToks for hours. It's actually crazy. But yeah, that kind of stuff. I feel like it's fun to kind of jump out of your comfort zone when it comes to movies and TV sometimes. Maybe it kind of like sparks a new interest or something because like now I'm finding myself obsessed with Star Wars. Like I can't stop watching Anakin Skywalker edits and it's like really a problem actually. So that's been my journey this past month with movies and TV and whatever. I'm also always constantly seeking out new music and rediscovering some of my old favorites. This past week, Madison Beer's album Life Support came out, which my best friend Trin is like a humongous Madison Beer fan and she had me listen to the album with her and I loved it. So I've been really obsessed with that lately, but I've also been like rediscovering things I used to love. Like I've been listening to Golden Hour by Casey Musgraves, I Love You by The Neighborhood. Those 2 albums are like 2 of my all-time favorites. I've been listening to those a ton. So it's almost like really fun for me to rediscover things that I once loved and haven't listened to in a while. Like that album by The Neighborhood was my favorite album my freshman year of high school when it came out, and now I've literally graduated college and it still is just like really meaningful. So it's fun to go back and listen to albums that I haven't heard in a long time or even rediscover new songs and new albums. I'm really excited. Next week, one of my favorite artists, Charlotte Lawrence, has an EP coming out. So I'm always like on the hunt for new and exciting stuff. when it comes to music. It's really fun to, with your friends, kind of expose each other to new things. Like, me and my friends love a lot of the same stuff, but like, for instance, with Madison Beer, I was never like super obsessed with her, but my friend showed me her, and then I could show Trin something and vice versa, and we can like explore new music together, and it becomes a fun activity. So definitely try that with your friends, maybe like swap playlists or something. I think that's a fun activity that you can do. Another passion of mine that I've been working on this past month is writing. So if you don't know, I graduated college with an English degree, so that entailed a ton of writing. I would be writing like 10-page papers every week. And since graduating last spring in 2020, I've honestly felt like a craving to go back to writing. A lot of you guys know that I have a Wattpad story that I continually abandon, and it's so upsetting. I've been working on my latest chapter this past week, and it's been like a breath of fresh air to get back to this story and these characters that I created. It's been really fun. So if you haven't checked out my Wattpad story, I'll have it linked down below. It's called Friends, Lovers, or Nothing. It's like a contemporary new adult coming of age love story. It's really cute, and I'm almost done with chapter 30. I'm hoping to have it up literally tomorrow on Sunday. So if you're watching this live, go make sure you're like tuned into my story, go follow it or whatever you do on Wattpad, because I'm going to post a new chapter. This is holding me accountable, telling you guys right now, but it's been really fun to get back into writing. It's one of those passions that sometimes I just completely neglect, and it's really sad when I do, because I feel so alive when I write, and it truly feels like such a productive hobby too. It's so satisfying to see the word count go up every time I write, and to just see how much I've improved as a writer since chapter 1. So it's really fun to get back into that, and I encourage all of you, maybe it's not writing, maybe it's something else, like it could be art or music or whatever else, to kind of rediscover old hobbies that maybe you forgot you had or lost sight of, in lieu of reading, because you know, there's always other things to do, things to discover, even new hobbies. Like, I really want to take up sewing, and I don't know where to start, but I want to take up sewing, so that might be my next venture. Another thing I've been doing a ton of is experimenting in the kitchen, baking specifically. I've always been super into baking and cooking since I was a young girl, but it's been freezing here in Massachusetts. We've had like a snowstorm every other day this month. It's kind of insane. So just on those snowy days, I find it so fun to like go in the kitchen and bake something. The other night I made chocolate chip banana bread, and that's been really good. I'm trying to experiment with like healthier recipes, so it was like a healthier version. I'll link the recipe I used down below if anyone's curious, but I've been trying to do like healthier baked goods and like experiment a little bit, try to make my own things up, or kind of tamper with recipes and change it up to be more like personal. But baking and cooking has always been one of my hobbies that I love. I find it so relaxing, and just like, I feel like I'm in a different universe when I'm cooking. And I know some people completely disagree and baking stresses them out, but for me it's a huge stress reliever. And this is another thing that I like to do when I'm listening to audiobooks or podcasts, so it's like double productive, and I just feel like my love language is feeding people and cooking for people. So I love making baked goods and sharing them with my family and friends, so I'm always doing that. Another thing that I've been doing the past few months that has taken up a lot of my time, but a little bit more this month, I've really been like kicking it into high gear, is working out, which I know nobody wants to hear. Like, if you're not gonna read a book, go work out. Like, that's not everybody's thing, and I totally respect you if it's not your thing. But back in September, I got really into Soul Cycle, which is like a cycling class. And because of COVID, obviously they've had the classes outside with limited capacity. The bikes are all 14 feet apart, open air, everyone has masks on. I feel very safe there, but obviously it's up for your discretion if you feel safe to go work out in an environment like that, or if you'd rather work out at home or whatever else. Obviously it's personal to everybody. But I've been doing Soul Cycle since September, and this is like the first time in my life that I've been doing exercise not to punish myself, and to actually like relieve stress and like move my body and feel good. And it's really a crazy switch once you have that realization that like you don't exercise to like punish yourself for eating bad. You exercise like to feel energized and to feel good. So it's been like the first time in my life where I'm exercising and not like crash dieting, which has been really exciting. And I've just become obsessed with it. I go to Soul probably 2 to 3 times a week. And this past month I've also recently started going to Orange Theory, which is another fitness class that incorporates like weights and rowing, which has been another really fun challenge. I go with my friends. That's another thing that's very social distance. It's like super limited capacity at Orange Theory, so feels very safe. You wear your mask obviously, but having these outlets for exercise and just kind of community also has felt really, really good. And again, just to be able to love myself and exercise and feel good about it and not use it as like a manipulation tactic has been a really big thing for me. So obviously everybody's relationship with exercise and dieting is personal, but this has been something that I've really, really loved doing. It's really crazy to think that I now look forward to working out. I've never been that person ever, but I literally look forward to my Soul Cycle and Orange Theory classes every single week. It's like a part of my routine now. It's crazy. I haven't missed a week since September. So I've been loving doing that. It definitely is like a release thing for me, and I always feel better after going to a class. But you can totally exercise at home too. Like on YouTube alone, there's so many routines you can do. You can follow influencers on like Instagram that do exercises and they go live, or they do IG stories, and there's so many helpful outlets for exercising anywhere you are. Obviously, I'm not sitting here like go exercise, but I'm just telling you I have felt so much mental clarity since beginning my fitness journey a few months ago. And it's just like a crazy difference. I never expected to see that shift in my life, but I have. So that's been a crazy thing for me. But honestly, at the end of the day, guys, if you're reading, if you're not reading, if you're exercising, if you're not exercising, if you're doing other things, there's really no pressure right now to be productive. I feel so much pressure all of the time that I have to constantly be doing something to be seen as good enough in society. Like if I'm not reading XYZ amount of books, if I'm not watching the newest show, if I'm not exercising, whatever it is in your life, everyone's personal. I feel like there's this pressure to meet certain goals every week, and if you don't meet those goals, you feel lesser than, or you feel upset. And I do that constantly. If I don't film a video once a week, if I don't read a book, I feel like a failure. And it's like, there's no reason to feel that way. There shouldn't be so much pressure on us to fulfill these things that are more often than not hobbies. Like the things that I just described, none of them are things that I have to do every week. I won't be scolded if I don't do these things, but in my head I make it seem like, oh, if I don't do these things, I failed this week, or this week was like useless, like there was no reason for this week. And that's just not true. Every day holds a personal journey and experience, and there's a reason for every day, even if it's a small thing. So, you know, if that's the biggest takeaway from this video, if you take none of what I told you and just take that sometimes you don't have to be productive, sometimes you just want to lay in bed and do nothing and scroll aimlessly on TikTok, that's fine too. You don't have to be productive to be valued, and I think that should be what everybody takes away, especially during this pandemic. It's been such crazy times, so unpredictable. The best you can do is get through each day the best way you can. So if it's not your moment to, you know, listen to an audiobook and work out and do whatever else, like it's not your moment, and that's fine too. We're all on our own personal journeys, but I wanted to share with you guys at least what I've been doing the past month in lieu of reading. Hopefully I'm going to get back into the reading as well, and I'm sure my interest in some of those other hobbies will go down and fluctuate, and maybe I'll find something new to do, and you know, that's just like the human experience. It's just how life works. So I hope you guys got something out of this video. I know it's totally not in my like normal realm of video, but if you did like it, make sure to let me know. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Also, please go follow me on my social medias like my Instagram and my Twitter. I'm always interacting with you guys on there, posting new stuff, and also like if I want feedback on like what to do for certain videos, you guys can always help me with that. So if you want a little bit of a say in what I post next, definitely go hit me up on there. Other than that though, I hope you guys took something from this video, and if not, I will be back next week with a book video. Also follow me on my ASMR channel if you like ASMR. I just posted a new video there too, so check that out. But other than that, I love you guys so very much. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you very soon. Bye!